Hey, folks. This is Four Mormons here coming at you. I'm doing this as a premiere pre-recorded video instead of going live this time. This is something that I think is important and that needs to be addressed. And obviously, the topic of this video is literally when God says no. So there's a Jesus talks a lot about ask and you shall receive. Have faith, the size of a grain of a mustard seed, and you can move mountains. But he also adds in there, according to your Father's will. There's a caveat there. God does not always say yes to our prayers, to our requests. Matter of fact, if not more than half the time, he says no. And sometimes when we as beings, the children of God, the Christian, we still have that reaction. We lash out as spoiled kids. When God says no, we kind of throw a little fit and it's like, God said no. He doesn't love me. Darn it. Darn it. And then we get angry at God and we start, we turn our backs on him. We have that tendency within us. There really is that tendency. And hearing no from any authority figure, but most especially from the authority figure of God, is it's a hard thing to take. It really, really is. But God has a reason. Now remember Romans 8:28 says all good things to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. But we also need to understand something else about God. And if we look at the Bible, look at Isaiah, specifically chapter 46, verses 9 through 11. This is God speaking. He says, remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else. I am God, and there is none like me, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executeth my counsel from a far country. Yea, I have spoken it, I will also bring it to pass. I have purposed it, I will also do it. Now, what God is proclaiming there is his sovereignness over all of creation, his will over everything. Before time and creation itself came into being, God already had a plan, a design. He already knew everything that was going to happen. He already knew everything about us. We were in his mind before creation. And so God has a set plan for us. And, he does have certain boundaries that we can kind of float around in, but there are some that God simply just will not let us pass. So, why am I bringing this up? Well, as you guys have probably heard, probably know, from my recent videos, if you've been paying attention, I have health issues, and most recently, September 3rd, I was diagnosed with a vasospasm, cardiovascular vasospasm. That's not just my arteries, but also the veins that extend from it. And the closest hospital that can handle that is, depending on traffic and who's driving, 45 minutes to an hour drive away from me. And it can be life threatening, it can cause death. It definitely mimics a heart attack. I mean, it feels and acts exactly like the exact same thing. Basically, what it is the arteries and the veins are shrinking, so very little blood flow is getting through into my heart. And then when they do blood tests, they actually find heart proteins in there that in a normal healthy person they wouldn't find in the bloodstream at all. Those proteins are there because the heart muscle is being damaged. Now, again, like I said, most of the time it doesn't cause a heart attack. It just mimics one, but it can. If it goes on long enough, and it deprives your heart long enough without oxygen, you will go into cardiac arrest, and people have died. So combine that with the fact that am pretty much I'm in a very small town, kind of way out in the middle of nowhere. Although I'm in a very high Mormon population area. There's only one vehicle available to us, which is my daughter's, and it's an older vehicle. Um, I can drive, but I don't have a car. There are no real Christian churches in the area that my daughter and I can attend, and she wants to get her life going. She's 22. She doesn't have a social life because there really aren't any Christians here for her to build a relationship with, and she wants to continue her education. So we were looking to sell this house and move to another town. Um, that's not going to happen. God said no. Unfortunately, I own what's called a basement house, so it's very hard to get a bank to give a loan on it because it's very uncommon. Matter of fact, especially nowadays, it's very hard to even get insurance on a house like this. I do have two lots that people could, build duplexes or whatever on my property. As a matter of fact, there was a triplex that has just recently been sold, and they're selling for tons of money. Um, but for some reason, God said no. The options that I had, if I had sold this house, I could have bought a place in another town. Um, it would have been like a mobile home for around 100,000. And there are some nice ones. But they're in not in a park. I don't When I say trailer park, I don't want you to think of like a white trash trailer park thing. I mean, they're really well kept and everything, but my whole goal was I had to pay off the property. So the only bills that I have to worry about are my monthly like utility bills and stuff like that. I don't want a mortgage. I don't want any of that because I can't afford it. Why? Because I'm on a limited income. I'm on disability because not only am I cardiovascular, I have Crohn's disease. My autoimmune system is attacking my body. So anyway, the issue is even though buying the house, they're on these lots, and these lots they're charging anywhere from $500 to $550 a month in rent. Now, when I bought this house that I'm in, my mortgage was $600 a month. So basically, what's the point of buying a mobile home or any home, but you still have to pay mortgage and it's a rent on the land that the house is on? And the landowner can raise the price of that land anytime. And it's not a cheap thing to move a house, a mobile home, or anything like that. It's just not. The hookups for the town where I was looking to go to, yeah, I would need sewer, water, and electrical. Was 5,000 each. There's $15,000 just hookups for that. Then you have to have fine land that will allow the building to go on there. But most of them require a foundation, so you got to put a foundation. Most the buildings that you get to put on there have to have a minimum amount of square footage, and you really can't find that type of land without spending a good chunk of money. So all of that, and then you get the cost of moving the house itself, which is not cheap, even moving it a short distance. So basically, it has made it impractical. Now, I could move to another state. There are options there where there are actual really nice houses. But the problem is, it was a bunch of problems. First of all, it moves me away from my family. It moves me into an area that I know nothing about. And most of the places where these houses are, they're not. Basically, I'd be in the same situation I'm in now. The only difference being is I'd have a car, but I would still be a long drive away from the medical facilities that I need. Um, so I'm not moving. I'm staying here, and I'll be honest. It's been kind of an emotional roller coaster for me today. It's been kind of a real bummer to be honest with you. But at the same time, people have been praying about it. I've been praying about it. So have others. If it was God's will, it would happen. So I had to get rid of my attorney, or I keep calling him my attorney, my realtor today. I told him, hey, I can't do it, and I really, I think anyone out there who owns a mobile home park, listen, have you no shame to charge that much money for a plot of land? It's ridiculous. Anyway, um, but anyway, that, something I was praying about, and that was God's answer was no. So what was I going to do? Am I going to sit there? Am I going to throw a fit? Or am I going to go to the Bible and look at what God has to say? Well, we go into the Bible and we look at Matthew chapter 7, verse 11. He said, this is Jesus speaking. He says, if ye then being evil know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? How much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? Now, I've asked God about this opportunity, and God said no. But he's given me a good thing. So obviously, the plan to relocate would have ended up bad. Maybe myself and my daughter would have gotten caught up in the secular world again, taking our eyes off of the Lord. Who knows what might have happened? But God does. I don't. But he has a reason for that choice. And, another possible reason, this is also something I have to consider. Let's go ahead and look at James chapter 4, verse 3. It says, ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts. So when I was asking God for this opportunity to be able to sell this house and move, deep down in my heart, was it because I really wanted to serve him, or was it because I wanted to get out of this situation? Was it just because of my health? Or was it because, I want a social life? I'm sick of being single. I want to make some friends. I want to actually have activities to do. I would love to have a truck to drive around, and maybe a camper to go camping in, and a boat. And I was hoping to make enough money to go out and be active, instead of being stuck inside of my house all this time. And I did have other goals, such as, it enabled my daughter to go to college to pursue the degree that she wants. And she definitely needs a social life. There are no kids her age here. But when I look at the motives, and I have to analyze, I really have to self-analyze. Were they pure motives? Were they really based on my desire to serve God? I used it as an excuse that they had built a temple in that area. No, I think the majority of the reason why is I want out of the area that I'm in. I don't like it here. I don't like the fact that it's 97% Mormon. I don't like the fact that it's such a small town. I don't like the fact of the situation that I'm in, that I have no vehicle. I mean, the current vehicle that we have access to now is a $1,500 car that could fall apart with a gust of wind. If it rains and washes away all the dust or the rust, it could fall apart. I mean, that's the kind of vehicle we have right now. Um, it makes it very difficult to live in this area. And to be honest, I don't like it. I'm living in a house that also has memories that I don't want to live with. So a lot of it was selfish stuff, and it wasn't me focusing on serving the Lord. So What's the reason that God says no? Ultimately, I think it comes to this. We look at James chapter 1 verse 3. It says, "Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. But let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing." Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. And we look on Hebrews 11:6. Why? Because why is faith so important? Because without faith, it is impossible to please him, that is God. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So when I examine everything, God, I wanted this sale to happen. I wanted this move to happen. God said no. And I've got the initial promise that, me being evil, how I know how to give good things to my own children, how much more my Father in heaven knows how to give good things to me. How also it could come from my own desires that are selfish. Um, that it's going to try our faith, try my faith, and try my patience. Give me more patience. Allow me to rely more upon God. Okay, God, you said no, you're keeping me here. What are you going to do? It's on you now, Lord. What work are you going to work? And I know you're going to show me because you kept me here. And I also know that because ultimately you are supreme. You are the one who is in charge. And your will be accomplished regardless. And so I'm not going to be one of those Christians that goes, but Jesus said, it's like it's that one scripture that always, that anyone, even the atheist or the hardened anti-Christian always knows, judge not lest ye shall be judged yourself. Well, that's actually one half of what Jesus said. If you read that in context, Jesus is saying, look, if you're committing the same sin and you're judging someone else who's doing the same sin, you better not judge them because you're going to be judged yourself. That's the context that is being spoken about. So in the context of this, Jesus said, anything you ask according to the Father's will, it shall be done. So this obviously was not the Father's will. So I am going to trust the Lord and see what happens from here. I still have my heart health problems, and it's been a lot of stress. I worked really hard with the yard and the stress of dealing with a realtor. I ended up in the ER twice because of it. I'm actually feeling some chest pains now. I'm going to have to take some nitro after this, nitroglycerin. But obviously this is not God's will. So I need to trust on God completely. God promised to provide all of my needs. And knowing that, thankfully today I was able to send $130, which I consider my tithe because I'm not attending a church. There's a ministry in Pakistan that I support. I was able to send it to them today, and they are able to get it, and that's going to provide a lot. The U.S. dollar goes a long way in Pakistani money. It's going to provide a lot of food and resources to them, and so I'm just stepping out in blind faith. Whatever thing that I have that's good that God gives me, it belongs to the Lord. It doesn't belong to me. And so I'm going to give back to him with thankfulness and joy in my heart. And hopefully soon I'll have a praise report to give you. So remember, folks, God will always answer your prayers. It just may not be the answer that you're looking for at the time. But always remember, God has only good in mind for you, and wait for it. Wait for that good to happen. So this is For Mormons, and that's my update, and that's my little, I don't know, sermon for the day. I'll talk to you later.